At InDigital, we know the public safety professionals hold themselves to a high standard. In fact, standard doesn't do it justice. In over 25 years working alongside you, carrying millions of calls over our IP networks, your dedication has inspired us. That's why our ESI Net goes beyond industry standards, not only i3 compliant, but designed to adapt to future development for a network you can count on when it matters most. Learn more at indigital.net.
If Within the Trenches has ever taught you something, open your eyes to what it is like to be a 911 dispatcher, or has inspired you to become one, then help support us and join our Patreon. Get exclusive bonus content, one-of-a-kind swag, discounts on merchandise, ad-free early access to new episodes, and much more. To join, please visit patreon.com/WTT podcast. And if you're an industry partner, we have something for you as well. And now, for the show.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This is going to be episode 476, and we are sponsored by InDigital, and a big shout out to patrons and Facebook subscribers. As always, I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for all of you, and especially those of you who are here now, watching, listening, supporting, sharing, all of it. Thank you so very much. We've got a lot of stuff coming up for 2023, and I am super excited for this episode. I've got some special guests with me. I've not posted this anywhere except for subscribers, and I'm super happy that we were able to get this figured out. I shit you not. We were over a group text just going back and forth. What about this? How about this? This might work. This might not work. We've got kids. We're going to do this stuff. So all this kinds of stuff is going on, which is funny because in the beginning, when all of this started, podcast wise, because 2023 marks the 10-year anniversary Within the Trenches podcast. Well, I had kids, but at the time, I don't think my guests had kids yet. So things were a little different. We were all like hanging out, just doing shit. But life happens, and life is awesome. So we're about to get started here. Again, I'm super excited to have my guests with me. And my guests are from my second home, from my center, Allegan County Central Dispatch. We've got some Allegan County Central Dispatch originals here with me, and I'm gonna bring up on the screen here Whitney and Trista. What?
Hello.
Oh, there she is. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Oh man, this is going to be fun, because already before we started recording, we were laughing and joking, and shit was happening and talking shit. And I am just super excited to have the both of you here. So thank you so much for being able to come on and do this with me.
We're happy to be here.
Yes, we are.
It kind of feels reminiscent of the old days, though. Like everything we do and say is being recorded.
I know, right? Yes. And we're going to take a trip back, and we're going to be talking about how some of this stuff began, and we're going to listen to some audio clips, which is going to be fun too. But I like how you do that. Just it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Like Trista, I can see you're slightly. You're all right. You're fine.
She's so excited.
I'll make it through, okay?
Excellent. So for those who might not know who either you are or anything, this is episode 476. Just a brief overview of who you are and your time in dispatch and such. So Trista, let's start with you.
I've been at Allegan Dispatch for almost 16 and a half years now. and I am a telecommunicator, and I have 3 kids, and that's my life in a nutshell, kids and work. So
Yeah. All right. Kids and work. Whitney, go
kids
ahead.
and
My name is Whitney Wisner. I'm the deputy director at Allegan County Central Dispatch. As at the time of this taping, it's been about 12 and change years I've been with Allegan. And I also have 3 kids and just living our best life, holding on for dear life every minute of every day.
Oh,
not thriving, right?
Very much surviving. I
yes.
will not throw thriving out there.
I do love how Trista, if you look at Whitney's frame, it looks like the antlers on back
You
of her
look-
are right.
Very fitting.
I did it on purpose.
That is excellent. I love it.
You
So,
want- is behind love. Can you see that? Just
Oh.
love.
Oh, so figures.
Hey,
hey, it's awesome. I like it. But in back of me, you can see all my bullshit back there.
That's a lot of money you got behind you.
That is.
You bougie.
Mhm.
Well, anyway,
You bougie.
I needed.
You've come a long way.
I would say that, yes. Just every time people say or see that back there, they're like, dude, was that spaceship back there? I'm like, it's a screen print press.
It is. I would run with that. I'd be like, it's something I do in my spare time. Why? I'm just working on a spaceship.
Yep,
Why?
I just fly.
Yeah.
So let's jump in our DeLoreans and let's go back in time here. And let's kind of go. I want to Marty. Oh, this is heavy. Anyway. So it's 2010. Okay, it's 2010, and I am of course not only working in dispatch, but between phone calls, I am going to school and I'm trying to finish projects. And during this time, it was my bachelor's degree for graphic design, and they needed us to do this project on digital storytelling. And I had already for a while been playing with the idea of sharing stories. So of course, I go to Trista and another coworker of ours who was there at the time, Alexis, and I think it was everything that we did was in the middle of the night, like the dead of night, no pun intended, for where we work, but it was in the middle of the night, and I'm pretty sure one of the other projects too, I had taken a picture of both Trista and Alexis, and like I remember you guys were giving me shit. They're like, "Don't post that anywhere." I was like, "It's only for," and even then, like Facebook and all that other stuff, it wasn't real prevalent. Like, it wasn't. Instagram wasn't even invented yet or anything, but there was like MySpace and shit. So they're like, "Don't put that anywhere."
Yeah.
But the reason though is because all of us, when we were taking pictures for this other project, I mean, it's the middle of the night. We're trying to stay awake, and we're all like messed up. I'm not gonna put the picture on the screen, so don't worry.
Whoa.
Hey, if you're gonna do it all the way, man.
I know. I should have, but I don't have it on me. I have it somewhere hidden.
Bring the
But
receipts.
yes, I have receipts. They are there. I swear. I swear to you. But I'm trying to put this project together, and I came to the both of you because we worked on a team for a long time,
Mhm.
and I was telling you guys about what I was thinking of doing, and I asked you if you would be a part of it, and you're like, "Well, what do we have to do?" And I said, "Well, all I'm going to do is take pictures of you while you're working." And just like action shots, like there'll be one pose in the beginning as you're saying, my name is, but after that it's just action shots, and all I want you to do is say how you got into dispatch, your worst call, your best call, and why you do what you do. And we ended up going into the quiet room, and I remember we sat there forever recording your stories. And like for Alexis, I had to go to her house, and we were in the basement forever, and when we were recording, I said, "You're not going to write any of this down?" And she goes, "No, I'm just going to wing it." And I was like, "Okay." Like that works. So we recorded it, we put it out there, and your stories just completely blew the class away, as well as the professor. And from there, I ended up starting to write about a lot of the calls that I had taken. But it was because of you and Alexis sharing those stories in the beginning that started all of this. Like, do you remember, um I remember you coming in, you're like, "I'm ready, like, I'm camera ready and everything," and you're
Like I
taking
45.
pictures.
Oh, get her camera ready.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I do remember that. Yeah, I was so nervous. I'm like think I'm a little bit less nervous now, but I do remember that.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was such a good time, and I thank you. I will forever be grateful to you guys for that,
You're
because every time I asked if you guys could help me, you're like, "Yeah, sure, we're down. What do we gotta do?" And then we would do it, and it was fun, but again, it was always in the middle of the night.
hmm
It is kind of nerve-wracking though, because you think, okay, like for your first piece with Trista and Alexis, like if I was Trista, I would think, okay, Ricardo's going to get graded for this by a professor. I'm anxious about that. But now when I'm on these, I'm thinking I'm getting graded by my colleagues across the United States and even across the oceans. And
Yeah.
I'm more worried about that.
Yes.
I didn't think about it like that.
Right. Like professors are totally respect education and all that kind of stuff. But when it's your colleagues, the people that you work with, you're like, man, I want to make them proud. And what if I say something that doesn't settle with them? And oh, to me, I'm like, that's even more important to me. But
Dude, for real. But the
I hope
both
you
of
think about
you,
that and you're worried about it for the next
I
15 years.
I know, right? After we're done recording, I'm like, "Oh, man, I fucked them up." It was really good though, and it got everything rolling. And I think a lot of the people who worked with us as well, not just there in the center, but those out in the field, were checking a lot of that stuff out. And it was from there and even further from there, when I started writing about all of this shit, that the officers out there really started to pay attention and learn about what it was that we were doing. And things changed a little bit because I mean we worked with some pretty hard ass people, but things started to change. And even further on, they've changed even more. I mean, the times that I've been there back in dispatch since I've been gone, it's a completely different environment.
hmm
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild. Can you think about like 10 years ago, even or 12 years ago now, when I started being able to do a remote dispatch, all of your operations, radio, taking 911 and non-emergency calls, having your whole CAD set up, doing that remotely, say in the lobby of McDonald's, like that would have been laughable. You would have been you you need
Right.
all this infrastructure to be able to do this. Now we have it all. We've got a Go Kit, we've got our Mevo phones, we've got um, just everything we need to do. And I just think, wow, that wasn't that long ago that
Well,
that
I
was not
Exactly.
even a thing.
well, I even think about like Rapid now. When you're on the phone with somebody and you're like,
Oh,
oh, you're trying to get them to tell you where they're at, and you're like, well, hang on a second, let me pull up your location. Oh, I'm showing you here and here and here, and it just the difference between having to put the coordinates into Google Maps or pull up Google, do Google Maps, and then automatically when it's working as it's supposed to, it's
mhm.
automatically right there, and that's one of the most beneficial tools I feel like. But who would have thought that 10 years ago you'd have that? You're everyone that was always hands on in the center trying to help find where somebody was if we had a big incident, and now it's like right there at your fingertips.
Do you remember ever typing in a coordinate into Google and forgetting the minus and then
Yeah.
being like, what? Like, I was in China? What?
They're in
What?
the middle of the ocean.
How did that happen? And then you're, oops, you got the negative. Oh,
Right.
Please, for you.
Especially if it was like a boating incident and it ended up in the water, but over in China, you're like, how is this happening?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't get it.
wrong agency.
Yeah.
let me
Transfer.
you.
Yeah.
Whitney, this is yours.
Oh man, that is hilarious because I remember one of the big things, and it's a public website, so I can say it, but the technology now compared to when the three of us were working together at times, if we had to find someone's phone number or just the carrier of the phone number, and for those who are watching and listening that are from the general public, just the carrier, like the company that you're paying your bill to, those folks, like we'd have to go to a website called Phone Finder, and put the phone number in to try to figure out who the carrier is. But now you can just put in a phone number and whatever, possible software that you have, and bam, it's right there. When it was a shot in the dark, man.
Yeah. It would be nice if you'd call that number and it would be like, the Verizon subscriber is not currently taking calls or whatever. And you'd be like,
Yes.
yeah, it's Verizon. It's Verizon.
Yes, exactly. But that didn't always happen. And
Right.
that freaking sucked. So,
Sorry.
from then, you've
This is
got,
an earthquake.
I know. you would have the or I had the written part that had come out, and I was still doing all this other stuff, and still working and doing all this other shit. Like, there was so much stuff that was going on in dispatch. But during that time I was struggling, and I mean, no one really knew. I think maybe Trista, you or Megan or Alexis, I talked to back then, and would say, man, things have been hard. But we never really went in depth with a lot of that, because there was always that stigma, right? There was still kind of that old mentality, that old guard that was there, that was like, you just move on. And I thought, that I was leaving the issues that I was having at work, but that was bullshit, because then I would get home and I would just be like distant. Dispatch here is still going, trying to figure things out. And it wasn't until I started like really writing about this stuff, which is where the Jabberlog, which doesn't exist anymore, but that was the first version, that blog where I started writing everything. And that's where Within the Trenches started, was a written segment where I was just writing stuff. And the deputy director back then, I remember I was a supervisor, and I had told her, I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I remember her telling me no. She's like, don't do it, because we're gonna get sued. And I said, well, I was part of that call too. Like, it wasn't, there's more to this than us just answering the phone. And that's kind of what I want to put out there, like my feelings, like how I feel about this. I said, plus it's kind of therapeutic for me to do it. And I remember she told me no. And I went to leave her office, and we had just had a supervisors meeting, and before that, and I walked back in and I said, hold on a minute. I said, didn't you tell us in the supervisor meeting that like the county, like none of you guys are allowed to regulate our feelings on social media? And she goes, yeah. And I said, all right, well, thank you. And she goes, you're going to do it anyway, aren't you? I was like, yes, I am. I was like,
I'm like, la, 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 la.
yes. Yeah. I said, if something goes down, if something happens, I'll take it, and I'll take the blame for it, but it'll be okay. And yeah, I've joked with her about it since then, and she goes, I knew you were going to do it anyway. I just had to say it, so just to say that I said it. And then we moved on from there. The Kickstarter campaign had come up, and Whitney, you were there already around that time as well, because you said like 2012, right? So 2012 was when all of this started building up. And I'd put that Kickstarter campaign out there. We're raising money. I was putting out, like t-shirts, like this t-shirt, actually, you would be able to get this t-shirt if you ended up helping out with this. And then episode 1 comes up, and Whitney, I just, from the time that I met you, I knew you were one of us, because there was nobody else that I knew, especially in training, that was coming in and belting out fucking words from Beastie Boys songs. And I was like, this person's one of us. She's one of our people. This is going to be good. And so from there, I had said, like, you need to be the first guest. And we had a lot of fun. So I want to play some of this first, a little bit. It's like 3 minutes or so from this first one, but it was a lot of fun, for one. But before we get into that, I want to kind of set this up. So we end up finding a time to get together. We go into the quiet room, and at that time, the first thing that I had for this podcast, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was a big ass fucking speaker. It was just one speaker, and it had 2 XLR cables to be able to put microphones in. And I had that, I don't even know how I did it, but I had it plugged into my laptop so that we could record that first episode. However, the sound was mono sound, which means you hear Whit out of one ear and you hear me out of the other ear.
Yeah. It's like an unselect and a select speaker.
Yes, exactly. And even today, if you go back and look at some of the Apple Podcast ratings and comments, like there's one in there that says, "Love the podcast, very cool. However, this is in mono."
I would have thought that was a compliment. I don't know anything about this
Right?
stuff. I would be like, we did it.
Yeah, we did it in mono.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. So in stereo, you hear everything. You hear it all in both ears. But in mono, it's either left or right. And that's how those first few episodes were recorded. So whenever anyone that I've talked to or whichever at conferences or anything like that, I've told them, because they would say, "So you're like almost 500 episodes in, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they'll say, "Where should I start?" And I always tell people, if you start at episode 1, hang in there, because the content is great. The content is amazing. However, the sound is in mono. And one day I'll go back and remaster it so that it's all in stereo. And of course, people don't always understand either. So I'll say, you'll hear me in one ear and you'll hear my guest in the other ear. It might be annoying, but I promise you it's good content. Hang in there.
What about for the people that just wear like one earpod or AirPod?
Oh, I didn't think about that. They're probably like,
There you go.
wait a minute. Why is he the only one talking? Or why is she the only one talking?
You just this is terrible.
Maybe I should go and remaster that shit.
I wonder though if it all ends up in the same AirPod.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Because, well, okay, so when I played this, you'll be able to hear it. But also in the beginning, I'm pretty sure, Whitney, you're the one who says, like, "Welcome to the Jabberlog" or something like that. And, oh, there she is. She's back. What happened? Did you fall?
Yeah, I got a phone call.
Oh.
No, I did not fall.
Oh, well, so I'll say this really quick. I was recording with someone about a month ago, and they were adjusting something, and they fell over. And I'm just like staring into the camera. I'm like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" And then she sits back up and she goes, What happened?" And I said, "What do you mean what happened?" I said, "You just fell over." And she goes, "Oh, I just reached for something." I was like, "Dude, you did that so fast, it looked like you fell."
She done fell out.
Exactly. Yes. Done fell out. Okay. So I'm going to change my audio here. Hopefully there's not an echo. There shouldn't be an echo, but I'm going to change it really quick. And I'm going to play this. Okay, here we go.
This is Whitney, and you're listening to the J-Cast on Jabberlog.
Oh, wait, the look on your face already. Okay, we have to talk about that. What was that look?
It's anybody listening to their own voice. You know, that goes like anytime you listen to your own quality assurance calls and stuff like that, you're like, oh.
Well,
You said you plugged your phone back in?
No, I didn't. I know
It
it's
sounds like you're tap dancing.
okay, here we go.
This is Whitney, and you're listening to the J-Cast on Jabberlog.
Welcome to the J-Cast on Jabberlog, where we jabber about everything for everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah, you got better. You got better. I saw growth. I've seen lots of growth. I've seen so much growth.
Oh my god, my face is hot right now. Like, it's so red. It's so cringe.
It's fine though. You know, sometimes you just have to like get through those moments and then be like, I think I want to talk a little bit quicker next time.
Yes, exactly. And we lost Trista there for a moment. I'm going to bring her back on here, and here she is. All right.
I don't know. Technical difficulties here.
It is all good. It's all good. All right. Here we go. Jeez. Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with Jabberlog on the JCast, and I'm sitting here with Whitney, and this is episode 1 of Within the Trenches. How's it going?
Hey guys, everybody, thanks for joining us.
With this project, it all
Hey guys, everybody.
I have to laugh because, man, okay, so that was so long ago. I don't even remember what time it was that we were doing this, but
It was probably after a night shift. It was probably like 8 o'clock in the morning.
right, yeah, something like that. And I sound tired as fuck, man.
Yeah, you sound like you don't want to be there. Like,
No, you know what it was? I was nervous as hell because during that time, the Kickstarter campaign was at like $632 or $636, something like that. It had stalled at that, and what I needed to make was $1,500. And I remember thinking, I need to put one episode out. I have to put an episode out so that people can hear it and get a taste of what it is that I'm trying to do here. So I was nervous as hell. I was like, we'll see how this goes. Plus, I didn't know how the sound was going to be. And well, I mean, this is it. This is you can hear it. It's right. It's weird. With these big ass headphones on, it's even weird for me. Like my equilibrium is like
it sounds like people talking to me. I can't find the difference in it, but you have a lot more of a fine-tuned ear to this.
it's something. All right, here we go. All started out, just give you a rundown here really quick. For those who don't know, I know a lot of you have been seeing posts that I've been doing lately promoting, trying to get this kickstarted and up off the ground. But it originally started as a segment off of my blog, Jabberlog, Within the Trenches. And it was based on my experience as a 911 operator. And so I have asthma. I have minor asthma. So as you can hear, it sounds like I'm fucking struggling. And so I'm going to say this really quick. The last time I was at the Michigan conference, I think it was the one that you were at, Whit, that when you were helping me with open mic and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I got all rave reviews except for one. And I'll never forget this one. It's the only one that I remember. And I think about it sometimes when I'm on stage talking now. I tried to hold the microphone a little bit further away from me, but the person said, very powerful story, powerful content, so good, but really breathy.
It's usually what you need to survive, but right. I can try to stop breathing next time around. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I did, I just happened to get all of that on a Thursday when I was going to do open mic live. So I called that person out. I didn't have the name or anything like that, but I said, I did such a great job during my keynote, and Whitney and all these other people were helping me out. But one person said I was really breathy. And I looked into the camera and I said, I have asthma. Okay.
It's not a disability. It's a different ability.
I made it funny. Like, it was funny to me. I've never gotten that before. I know I'm breathy because I can't breathe.
You need to keep your inhaler on a necklace.
Right.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, let me get to this other part here. Because I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit to where, so now it's like, even on the bar here where it shows the audio, it shows me down on the bottom, you up on top, and it goes back and forth. And it's just funny to see how the damn audio came out. Thing that we've been going to do.
I think it's going to be kind of a roller coaster ride for everybody. I think there's going to be a lot of funny on here, but I think there's going to be some sad stuff too, that people are going to look at it and say, man, you take that home at night. We have to live with some of these calls and the outcomes of them too. But there's definitely some funny that, if you're not sitting in a room with a big group of people, nobody really gets to appreciate some of the calls that you think, is this real life? Did I really just take that call?
Yeah, I remember one of my former coworkers. She had taken a call from an elderly gentleman who he called up and he was living in like the northwestern area of the county that we work in, which is Allegan County, and he just sounded so embarrassed. And she said, "What's going on? You know what's going on?" And he says, "Ma'am, I there's a guy who's walking naked on stilts past my past my window here." And it's one of those calls that when you tell people what you do for a living and they ask you what's the funniest call you've ever taken, that's definitely one of them, because that's one of the things that we deal with. We take a lot of funny calls.
You're right. And it's actually fortunate that we can look back and say we take a lot of funny calls, because there are some jurisdictions that I'm sure they have funny calls, but they have a lot of real nasty calls they get.
Of course. Yeah.
So, thanks, Allegan County, for keeping us on our toes. We never quite know what we're going to get on the other end of that phone call. We appreciate that.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember that. A naked guy on stilts?
Site.
Yes. So that was probably 3 or 4 years before you got there, Whit. That was actually a call that Alexis took. And Trista, I think you were working that night on lean or something, but it was at night, and it was in an area just north of us. It was like right on the county line of Allegan and Ottawa, and there's a college around there. So the thought was that was like an initiation thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Fortunate, but
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah, that one I won't forget, because I remember when Alexis was taking it, she sent me a message and she goes, "You need to monitor this." And I said, "What?" And so and that's how I knew what the guy had said, because I was listening to it. But that's one that I won't forget, because yeah, that guy was just, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to even tell you this. It was like a little old man who was just completely disturbed and destroyed from probably seeing this dude's snake all over the place on stilts.
I would treat that a lot like an injured raccoon, though, where somebody calls and they're like, "I'm just calling you," and I'm like, "Let nature take its course. Like, gravity always wins. Call me then if it's a fall."
Right.
But other than that, like, just
You know how hilarious, though, thinking about it a little bit further, would have been, going off of what you just said. What if it happened like that? And then just a little bit later, you get a phone call from some dude like, "So I don't know how to say this. I was with my friend. I was on some stilts, and I fell and broke my wiener."
I would immediately be like, "Was it a long fall?"
Yes.
No.
Yeah, because the term is priority, right?
Yes. Was this a long fall or no? A series of short falls? I don't know.
Are you having difficulty breathing? Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So that was one of those first ones. So that was a clip from the very first episode of Within the Trenches. And I remember when we went through the whole thing, and I remember, Whitney, you told me that one of your family members had listened to the episode, and you had mentioned something about a school that was D1, but it wasn't D1, and you were like, "Oh, my alma mater, like I can't believe I said that," or something like that. But it was stuff like that just made it so fun to do what it was that we were doing for that first episode, and then moving on from there. And it was episode 5, where, because during that time a lot of the officers had listened to it as well, and they said, "Dude, you need to bring Whitney on as your co-host, because you guys were having a lot of fun doing it, and we want to hear more." So episode 5, well, before we get to episode 5, I want to mention this other part. So we ended up putting out I put out episode 1. People were listening, they were loving it, people were sharing it, and the website was getting a lot of views because people were listening. And overnight I ended up making the goal. And that was also, though, because I wrote to Gary Allen, who at that time was running Dispatch Magazine online, and I had sent him a message, told him what I was doing. I wasn't asking for any money. I was just wondering if he could share it. and he liked the idea. He actually ended up donating some money, and he put it out on just a little blurb, just a paragraph, put it out there overnight.
Over the amount that you were actually your goal? Didn't you make over? I feel like you'd went over it.
Yes. And it was you who told me, as it was coming to a close. I remember you sent me a text message, and I'm sitting in my living room. Lola is, I don't know, she's like 7 months old or something like that, sitting in a high chair, and she was eating. And you sent me a text message, Trista, and you said, "I just put you over." And I said, "What?" And I refreshed, and no shit, you put me over. And I remember just like,
Oh,
and I was so fucking happy. And I remember jumping up in the air and going, yes, we did it. And Lola going just like all clapping too, like, yay. Like she had no idea, but she was happy because I was happy. And it ended up surpassing even more after you had sent me that message. I drove to dispatch that day. I wasn't supposed to work that day, but I drove in because I was recording episode 2. And I'll never forget this. But I remember walking in to dispatch, and you were there, and there were a bunch of people there, and all of you just started clapping, and you said, "You did it." It was an awesome moment. And then we recorded episode 2, and it just continued to go from there. But yeah, I probably still if I scroll up high enough, it's probably still there. Yeah.
Now look at you.
Yeah, it's been quite an experience, but that I will never forget. I feel like it was yesterday, getting that text message from you, doing that with Lola, and then going into dispatch and everyone just fucking cheering. I was like, damn, I got to keep going. I was like, this is awesome. And then we get to episode 3, which is with you, Trista.
Oh, God.
our girl.
Yes. So it's just let's see.
Just a quick blurb, right?
I mean, it's like
40 minutes on this.
It's like 2.5 minutes.
Oh,
But I'm just gonna play the part like when you come in and say hello, and then I'm gonna go to the next part where you're talking, because you kind of give a little bit of your beginning there. So I want to play this here really quick. And this is episode number 3 of Within the Trenches, and we are live on Ustream within the quiet room of Allegan County Central Dispatch. What's going on, Trista?
Hey, Ricardo, how are you doing? Thanks for having me today.
I am doing okay. Hold on. I want to ask you as well, because you had the same response as Whitney.
It's so fake. Like that's just not normal.
I really wish that like cell phones would have been as good as they are now then. to take selfies and shit, or to take pictures while we were in there, because there was a lot of stuff, like the 3 of us when we were recording shit that we did. Luckily, for some of the episodes that Whitney and I did at her house, we've got some video shots, we've got pictures, and then there's one that we did in the quiet room with Matt, and we've got pictures, and video of that one as well. And so there's a lot of stuff that's still there. But those like first 5 episodes, well, first 4, because the 5th one was actually on TV, and that one was pretty good, and we'll talk about that one here in just a moment. But here's the next part of and I'm gonna be looking at you to see how you respond. All right, here we go. You dispatching.
Well, I went to college up at Lake Superior State in Sault Ste. Marie for fire science. My thought process was I was going to be a full-time firefighter. And about a month after I graduated, I got hired in here. So I've been here for about 6.5 years now.
6 years. Holy crap.
Long time. So that wasn't my whole plan, but I really enjoyed it. And it kept me involved with the fire aspect of things, along with the EMS and police. I thought that it would be a good chance to learn the different ropes and things, and kind of going through like the chain of command, the first thought when we get the call in and we dispatch out for the fire department. So I enjoy it. It's been a really good job. It's obviously I've been here for 6.5 years, so I enjoy it. I enjoyed meeting new people and getting become friends with people and met a lot of cool people so far. So
Lots of people.
That's the
So
part
many
that I was
people.
telling you about.
You can't rip on her. She's like the most gentle, soft sounding person in the interview.
Right? Yeah.
So innocent.
So many people.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that when we were recording that, you were like this. Like, so many people love people.
Probably.
Yes. No, but it was good though. And one thing I do remember is that when you listen to the entire episode back, I remember you coming into dispatch and I had just gotten off a call and you said, "Ricky, I'm sorry." And I said, "Sorry for what?" And I said, "You just walked in here. What are you sorry for?" And you said, "I listened to the episode." And I said, What was wrong with the episode? It was great." And you said something to me like, "I kept cutting you off." And I said, "No, you weren't." Like,
I remember
what?
feeling like that.
Did you?
Yes. Oh,
But you did it.
show, right?
It was good. It was awesome. And I mean, you sound great on there as well. So it was all good.
Good job, Trisket.
Yes. Good job.
Like,
So we end up moving on from there. We get to episode 5, and like I had said, we people had already been talking to me about bringing Whitney on as co-host. Excuse me. And I remember asking you, Whit, and you were like, "Yeah, dude, what do you need me to do?" And I said, "Okay, well, if you're for sure down with this, what I need you to do is 2 things here. You need to wear your Within the Trenches t-shirt, and you need to be at dispatch by 1:45 to 2 p.m. because we're going to be on TV." And you just looked at me, and you're like, "Are you for real?" And I said, "Dude, I'm for real." I said, "Angela Cunningham from WZZM 13, they got a hold of me, and they want to come in to the dispatch center and do a story on this." And you're like, "Okay."
Full send. Full
Yes.
send.
Yes. I said, "I'm going to announce you on episode 5 as the co-host, and we're going to be on TV, and we're going to have this whole segment and stuff." I said, so be ready. And it was so much fun that I have shared that video all over the place whenever I go to different conferences or whatever to share the story. The one that Trista and Alexis did is always in there, and the one from us from episode 5 is in there. And that one was a cool one too, because we were in the training room and they were doing the video stuff there, but we also got Angela to be on an episode with us. And I remember at one point she said, "So let me ask, when we call in to ask questions, like, are we really bothering you guys?" And it was like our chance to say, "Yeah."
No, they are. We are here to help 24/7.
Yeah.
Right.
Ricardo.
Yeah. It was cool that we got to do that, and that we actually got to say, I mean, yeah, especially when, you call in and we can hear our partners talking over your scanner and that's there, but you're calling for confirmation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So so it was a lot of fun to be able to do that. And then a lot of episodes in between, but one that I want to play here, which is like, I don't know, it's a few minutes long. It's like 5 minutes. I'll play some of it. I won't play the whole thing, but it's something that happened to me, and it's from episode 12. And this one we recorded at Whitney's house. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this, and I'm sure Whit, you'll know as soon as you hear it.
Tell you what's going on. This is Ricardo with Jabberlog on the JCast, and I'm sitting here with my co-host Whitney, and this is episode number 12 of Within the Trenches. What's going on?
Hey, bro, how you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, I guess.
You look a lot less scary. You don't need a hunchback anymore.
I know. Oh, holy crap! Did you mention that to me on a text message, or was it somebody else too?
I think we were kind of quietly talking about it behind your back. I mean, you're a buddy and everything, but there's a point there where we were like, he's looking rough.
Yes. Oh my God. I don't know.
Mean.
You not remember this?
No. I'm sorry, I was talking about your scoliosis.
I know. How dare you? Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay. Once you hear a little more, I think you'll remember.
I think I was texting Carl is what it was.
Okay.
I was texting him as well, and he was saying, all you need is a hunchback. And I thought, damn, that's
That
messed up.
Carl.
Yes. For those who don't know, I'm sure you saw the pictures that I was posting on the Jabberlog fan page. I ended up having an abscessed tooth. Just one tooth, and it destroyed my face. It was swollen. It was like someone farted in my mouth, and it just stayed open.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I almost just said again when that happened.
That kind of hurts. I can't do
Did you?
That's like the first thing that came to my head again.
The times that I've played this clip, whether it be on open mic live or at a conference or whatever, that is the part that people laugh at the most, is when I say it's like someone farted in my mouth, and you immediately, without think, just you're on point with your comedic delivery of again. Everybody always cracks up at that part. Oh shit. Okay.
do a big smile because it's still kind of tight and everything. So
It looks a lot less intense. I mean, there was a point there. Well, if we had to explain it to listeners who haven't seen it, I'm talking like baseball at one point.
Yeah.
That one evening where you were just.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I can explain it like this. If you've ever gone into, and I'm pretty sure they still have them, if you go into the gas station or Walmart or something like that, and you see all the gum on the racks when you're checking out, and you see that big league chew.
That guy. Yeah.
Yes, that guy. That's exactly what I look like. I look like I had a big old chaw right in my mouth, and it was very painful. It was. I mean, my lip was stretched out so far on the right side that the pain was just. Oh, I can't even explain the pain. It was just amazing. Not amazing good.
No, and you gave your wife a heart attack because at one point, I mean, Ricardo spent this weekend in and out of the oral surgeon. We were supposed to do an interview with another dispatcher on Wednesday, and we had to cancel it because he was back and forth all weekend and he couldn't talk and he didn't work the first part of this week. And his wife, Becky, texted me and she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. They told him that if it gets any worse, he'll have to go to the hospital. And I was like, I think it's about time he goes there anyways. But
Yes.
we'll pull it together.
Yeah, it was
Okay, so that when that happened, I ended up going to Allegan General. I ended up going to the hospital there because I had this issue going on before going into dispatch that day. And they're like, we're gonna get you in and we're gonna take care of it. I said, okay. And then they said, well, they don't have any openings until next week, Thursday. I said, are you kidding me? Like, can you send me to somebody else? And they're like, well, we're attached to this other person. Like, we work with them. I said, so you can't send me anywhere else. And they said, no. And I was like, so what are you going to do? And they said, we're just going to give you some medication, some antibiotics, some painkillers. I said, what if it continues to swell? And they were telling me that they didn't think that was going to happen. I should have sued them because they just let me go. So I end up going into dispatch and I'm in hella pain that whole time. And they were trying to give me some like Norcos or some shit. And I said, I have to go into dispatch to take 911 phone calls. And they're like, yeah, we probably should just give you Motrin. I said, oh, you think? I'm in there, and by like midnight, it's like a gumball already. Like it can feel it. And I remember telling all of you, like, I think I need to go to Allegan General to see if they can give me something, at least for the swelling. And there wasn't a lot going on. So it was enough that I was able to leave. I remember I got there, told them who I was and where I was working and stuff. And they're like, well, we'll get you back here as soon as possible. And I was like, well, I'm not expecting any treatment or anything like that. It's like, I just wanted to let you know where I'm from and stuff. And so they got me back there pretty fast. What they did was they gave me like this fucking booster shot. It's one of those that you take like in the ass cheek. So I don't think I've ever shared this part before. Maybe to you guys. I don't know, but not on this. And so, okay. Anyway, I get back there and I'm sitting on the table and the nurse comes in and she goes, okay, so, what's the pain? I'm telling her all this other stuff. And she goes, okay, well, we're gonna give you a shot. Please make sure to go to the dentist tomorrow if you can, because it's gonna continue swelling, but I'm gonna give you something for the pain, and hopefully it'll take that down as well, the swelling. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting there, and she goes, I'm gonna need for you to remove your pants. And I said, excuse me? And she goes, I need you to remove your pants and your underwear. And I said, how far down? And she goes, all the way. And I said, all the way? Really? And she goes, yeah, all the way. And I was like, why'd you say it like that? So she goes, I'm gonna step out for a moment, and you do what you gotta do, and I'll be back. And I said, okay. So she leaves, and I'm sitting there like, do I really? Okay, I
Right.
guess.
Does not compute.
Right?
Dude, so I brought my shit down to my knees, not to my ankles, but to my knees. And she comes in, and she sees where my pants are. And I mean, I had a gown on, so she can just see, like, from the side, like,
Yeah.
where my legs are. And she goes, oh my God. And I said, what? And she goes, no, I'm sorry. Did I tell you I needed them all the way down? And I said, yeah, like 4 times.
Weirdo.
Right. She goes, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant. Um, I'm going to step out for a minute, just bring everything back up. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like, was this on your bingo card? Is that why you wanted this thing ripped off?
Yeah, exactly. Right. God, dang it, man. So I pull my pants all the way back up. She leaves, and then she comes, but she knocks, and then she comes back in, and I'm sitting there with my pants on now. And I said, what do you need me to do? Specifically, what do you need me to do? And she goes, I just need you to pull down enough to reveal a cheek. And I was like, why didn't you say that to begin with?
Right.
And she goes, it's been a long night. I was like, okay. So I pulled down to reveal a cheek, and she's like, boonk. And she's like, how was that? And I was like, it was great. It wasn't fun.
Right? 5
And those
stars.
IM injections, those are like big ones.
Yeah, dude. It made like my non-existent ass cheek like just like tense up, like, oh.
Yeah.
But the pain almost immediately went away that I had over here. So she's like, okay, go, back to you might want to go back home. And I was like, okay. So I go back to dispatch, and I had enough time, like comp time and stuff, that I could leave. So I ended up leaving, and I remember in the morning waking up, okay? And so it's on this side. So I had been laying on this side. and my wife comes in, and she goes, hey, she goes, I got a message from Whitney saying that you came home early. What the hell's going on? Why did you come home for a toothache? And I will never forget this. I wake up, I get up, and when I get up, I turn around. She goes, oh, yes. It was the funniest shit, but I also felt like shit too. I was like, I'm a monster.
Did they give you pain meds, or was that like a steroid shot they gave you at the hospital?
It was a steroid shot.
Yeah. That's what, because when I get poison ivy so bad, I have to, same thing. You go to the med center and you're like, ah, and then they just give you a steroid shot.
Right. Yeah. That was exactly what it was. And she goes, you need to go look at your face. And I went like this, and I'm like, I can feel it. Like, I don't even want to look at it right now. And she goes, it's really bad. So luckily I ended up finding a dentist that was open over the weekend, and we go in there, and I'm holding my face like this. I walk in, the lady who's sitting there, she goes, yeah, he'll see you in just a moment. Like, she's trying not to laugh. Like, I'm sure, again, if phones would have been great, like, I would have been fucking meme or something. I would have been
one selfie with you.
Yes, yeah. Like, so they finally call me back, and I hear the dentist talking to the person up front, and I hear my wife say, oh yeah, he's already sitting back there. And he goes, oh, okay. I'm sitting there. He walks in, and he goes, hello, Mr. Martin. Oh, Oh my. And I hear my wife laughing super loud in the waiting room. And I'm just sitting there and he goes, okay, well, it's not what I was expecting. I was like, this is not what I was expecting either. Okay. So
Right.
it was horrible because over the week, all he did was he drilled a hole into my tooth so that like the gunk would come out and try to take the swelling down.
Oh,
Didn't work. Go back in on Sunday. He tries to do a couple other things, doesn't work. Then I go in on Monday and see the dentist who actually owns the practice. And he does the same thing when he walks in. It's just like, ah. And by that time, it's like, dude, I swear, like my lip felt like he was gonna bust open. Like that's how bad it was. And
oh
he
my
goes, look,
gosh.
I don't know why the other guy didn't do this, but I'm gonna have to cut you open. And I said, okay. He goes, because if you wait any longer, it's gonna the swelling because it was already swelling down here. And he goes, if it swells up anymore, it's gonna cut off like everything that you need right there to breathe, and you're gonna die. And I said, okay. And he goes, I can either cut you on this side, which is going to take way longer to heal, or cut you on the inside. And I said, cut me on the inside. Like, why would you cut on the outside? But he was saying that if I waited any longer, it would need like extreme surgery. So it would be on the outside. So there's like 3 scalpels that he ends up using. I won't go into all the detail. It's part of this one episode that I was playing, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it was horrible. So if you can tell, like while I'm talking, I'm not talking right. Like my face is still kind of numb and messed up, and that's why that's why that's why Whitney is saying, all you needed was a hunchback because he's looking rough.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And that's scary to have it that close to your brain, like have like this big infection travel through your dome piece. And
Right. The one thing I will say, and it'll be the only thing because it's kind of gross, is that when he cut open the first time, I could see like the pus, like it was like it went
Oh,
up in the air, and his assistant goes,
oh my. That's
and in my head, I'm thinking, this is bad enough for me. Okay.
right.
I'm grossed out.
Yes. Oh man, yeah, it was super bad when I finally. I think we recorded that episode, Whitney, before I went back into dispatch. I think I was supposed to go back to work the following day, and when you saw me, you're like, "There you are!" Like,
Oh,
yeah, I look like a straight up
Oh,
fucking monster, man.
we'll still keep you though. We'll
oh.
keep you around.
Yes, it was good. From that episode, moving on to the rest, there was so much that happened, and that was 2013. That was the start of all of it, and then the media attention end up going to the Michigan conference, doing stuff there, going to the national conference, and then a few weeks later, I was out of dispatch. And the deputy director and myself, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, we put in our 2 weeks notice the same day. Like she put hers in about an hour or two before I did, and ended up going on. And it's been crazy ever since. Just doing this, sharing these stories, sharing what dispatchers from all over the world, and it all started here. So I can't thank you guys enough.
It all started here.
Yep, all of
Yep.
this. But it was all through that power of storytelling, and
We got some
there'll be
stories.
other stuff. Yes, yeah, lots of stories. There'll be other stuff that I end up posting up on this history, but I wanted to bring the both of you on to go through the beginning of this because there was a lot of episodes, Whitney, that you and I recorded. I think the last one that we ended up doing when I was still living in Michigan was like episode 40 or 43, something like that. And that one might have been the one that we recorded, like filmed with Matt there and stuff. And I end up moving over here to Indiana, and you end up becoming the deputy director and stuff. You move up to supervisor and then deputy director, which I say deputy because I remember one time I said assistant and you were like, it's deputy.
Well,
And
it
I
got
was like,
changed to
yes.
to fit. There's the deputy director of facilities. He's cool.
I was like, oh, my bad. But it was
Because the assistant director, we just focus on the ass part of it. So
oh,
ass director.
So I do have a question. When you ended up moving over, did you get any like one of those cool cakes that says like you're dead to us now?
No.
Oh,
No, nothing.
what the hell, Trista? I would have figured that you would have been the one to say that.
There was actually a lot of really nice stuff. Like I found stuff in my office and I still don't know who a lot of it was from, but like these little notes were like the time is now and like all this cool stuff. And I was like,
oh, that is
I
cool.
have the support of these people behind me, which was really special.
That is.
I love them so much.
Oh,
Well, you're so you
What'd
put up
you
with all
say?
of us. You're so special too. You put up with all of us.
I told them the same thing. I want them all to be safe, healthy, and happy, and in that order. Safe, healthy, happy. Take care of my peoples.
man, a lot of stuff that has come out of Allegan County Central Dispatch, and I will always cherish my time there and my time with the both of you. I know I've said this before, but there's shit that we went through that people will never know.
Right.
And stuff that we experienced that no one else can even imagine. And I'm just glad that I worked on a team with the both of you where I knew that if shit was hitting the fan, I could trust everything that the both of you did, and that you feel the same way about me when we worked together. Like it was always a team effort, man. And I think about some of those nights sometimes like, damn, how did we do that? How did we get through that? How did we just know? Like it was almost like we just were feeling each other and we knew what the other person was going to do next. And I will never forget that time. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you, Tricky.
Thank you.
So this has been an awesome episode. We're going to go into the wrap up of this. And I do have one last question for the both of you. And whoever wants to go first, you can. But if you could go back in time with the knowledge that you have now to talk to yourself at the beginning of your dispatching career, what would you tell yourself?
Go for it, Trisket.
I would say to give myself some grace. I always hold myself to a really high standard, and in this job you never know what's going to happen. And you obviously in any job you never want to mess up, but when you are dealing with people's lives, and you really have to take that into consideration that things are not always going to go as planned. People are going to die, people are going to live, and you always just have to do what you can do. Rely on your training, and then also remind yourself that you never know what people are going through. Somebody is always battling something, no matter what. Just not too long ago, I talked to a lady for about an hour, and she's one of our frequents. And Whitney, I promise I was still doing my job. We weren't busy. But she thanked me, and she's one of those people that not very many people would take the time. And at the end of the conversation, she thanked me, and it was just kind of like, that's what I'm here for, whether or not like what she was saying was legit or true. And it doesn't really matter at that point, but she just needed somebody to listen to her. And at the end of the day, nobody knows what anyone's going through. And so those are just a couple of things I think I'd really remind myself. And I still have to remind myself that I've given myself grace and not be too hard on myself at the end of the day when things just don't always turn out how we want them to. So I think that's probably it.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Whit?
I think mine would be a reminder that I say to myself often. It's actually something my mom said to us a lot growing up, but my response is my responsibility. So there are only so many things that I can control in a situation, whether it's personal or professional, whether it's on the administrative side of my job or whether I'm helping call taking or dispatching. I can control what I do, and I don't have I have influence, on decisions that are made or things with a caller, but at the end of the day, If somebody is choosing to harm themselves and they already have a plan when they call, I don't have a lot of say in that. And I think that that's really important that people learn as they go on through their career. Also, when you're on the administrative side, there are things that are going to happen no matter how much data you're prepared with, no matter how well you deliver your side, no matter how much cost savings are involved or anything like that. Sometimes people are just going to say no because of who you are, because of what you represent, or whatever it is. And I can either choose to be mad about it and cause a scene, or I can just say, thank you for your time. My response is my responsibility. And that's all I can do.
That's a good one too. That is good.
Perfect.
Of course it is. Duh.
Well, now you can email with that from now on, aren't you?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Every email out, you're gonna end that with that.
I am. Just know your response is your responsibility.
Yes.
I love that. Yes. Very good. Again, thank you both very much for being on. And I will be right back here with you both in just one moment. And for those who are watching, if you have any comments, questions, or you want to be a guest on the show, you can email us, and that's going to be wttpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. That is @91podcast. You can like us on Facebook. That is facebook.com/Within the Trenches podcast. This episode has been sponsored by InDigital, and a big shout out to patrons and Facebook subscribers. As always, thank you so much for everything. This has been an excellent episode and an awesome way to start out 2023 and 10 years of Within the Trenches podcast. If you want to become a patron of the podcast, you can check us out and help support us there. Patreon.com/WTT podcast, on Facebook to become a subscriber there. Just go to the podcast page. There's a button for subscriptions. Click on that, and thank you all so very much. This can be seen on Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. And then you can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.